It's time for Mac Geek Gab, and listener Tom brings us our quick tip of the week with, I was watching my television the other day when all of a sudden a group of menus popped up in the upper right-hand corner of my screen. After fiddling with the remote to figure out what I had done, I realized that if you press and hold the TV button on the Apple remote, a version of Control Center for my Apple TV running tvOS 26, very much like the one for macOS 26 appears. It's a little rudimentary at the moment, but in addition to the standard menus with things like a network control icon, an icon to control the sound source, there were menus for my home automations and even a third-party menu for my NordVPN setup. This could be the start of something big. More tips like this, plus your questions answered today on Mac Geek Gab 1114 for Monday, November 3rd. Give somebody a dollar day 2025. Woohoo!
Greetings, folks, and welcome to Mac Geek Gab, the show where you send in your tips like that. We share them. You send in cool stuff found. We share those. You send in questions. We share them, hopefully with answers or at least guidance. The goal being each and every one of us gets to learn at least 5 new things every single time we get together. Our sponsors today include some new ones and some fan favorites. Gusto.com/MGG is where you go get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. Shopify.com/MGG, where you can sign up for a $1 per month trial period and upgrade your selling today. DrinkAG1.com/MGG to get a free welcome kit with a flavor sampler and a bottle of vitamin D3 plus K2. And NordLayer.com/MacGeekGab, where coupon code MacGeekGab-28, don't worry, we put all this stuff in the show notes, gets you 28% off, or up to 28% off NordLayer's yearly plans. You can try it risk-free with a 14-day money-back guarantee. We'll talk more about all of that in a little bit. For now, back here in Durham, New Hampshire. New Hampshire? Is that where I am? Yeah, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And still here in South Dakota, I'm Adam Christensen.
That's it. That's it.
No Pete.
There's no Pete today. Pete's out gallivanting, which is great for Pete to be doing.
Gallivanting's good, yeah.
Yeah, gallivanting's great. Yep. We have a new month here with November, which means we have a new giveaway. If you go to macgeekgab.com/giveaway, you will be able to sign up for our giveaway that we're partnering with OpenCase on, a case that I think both Adam and I use, or at least have used on our iPhone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Great case.
So, yep. Yeah, really fun. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, macgeekgab.com/giveaway is where you can go to sign up for that all month long. Shall we go back into quick tips here? Do you have any?
Yeah, before we get started, though, I got a little follow-up to our opening quick tip.
Okay.
So, tvOS 26, do you use like profiles, like multiple user profiles on your Apple TV?
Yes. And I am routine. Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. Have you noticed? So this is a change. I'm pretty sure this is a change because I never noticed this before because, I leave my Apple TV on all the time. That's really the only interface I use for my TV.
Sure.
And I noticed now when you wake it up, the first thing you get is which profile do you want to log into?
Yes.
And I think that's a change, right? Yeah.
It feels like a change.
I feel about that, and I'm not sure if I want to go turn it off because I know how to like press and hold. I think you press and hold the TV button to get the like control center menu, and then you can switch profiles.
Sure.
And usually, I'm now that my kids are adults and out of the house and gone.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't like the Apple TV because she hates the Siri remote. So I'm really the only one that uses it. So I need to go in and find out if there's a way to like set a default, because now every time I turn it on, I've got to just press. I mean, it pre-selects mine because I'm the first profile, but I have to select that. So
sure.
I'm not sure if I like that feature or not. I guess it's my thing. So I don't know if you noticed a change.
We definitely, we did. I'm not sure why it's important for us in that we for the most part, we would all operate under my profile on the Apple TV, just because we were not prompted to change it. Right. So the only time someone would change it is if, like, my kids live on their own, and so when, especially our son, because he's back at the house more frequently than our daughter. And so when he's at the house, if he's going to watch something on Apple TV Plus, or I guess, Apple TV now.
Apple TV.
He would change to his profile so that he would have his watch history and, and all of that. But otherwise, we're basically watching from, like, the Plex app, which has profiles in and of itself, which we do choose, so that's fine, or the Channels app, or Netflix, which has profiles, although we don't really have Netflix anymore here. But so I'm not sure why I care so much about having profiles that it has to ask me every time I turn on the Apple TV. Yeah. Okay. So yes, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
We're kind of in the same group. I'm like, this change, I don't know that I needed, but hopefully I can change it. I'm sure they're probably, well, I shouldn't say sure because it's Apple, but I would hope there's a setting for it somewhere. Yeah. Digging, and somebody, I'm sure, in the community will probably let us know at feedback@macgeekgab.com. I'm sure if there is a setting.
Yeah. I'm curious. I'm looking in our chat Discord here. Yeah. Joe Prizer says, I use profiles within the service. The only pain point is YouTube. Yeah, like we are. Okay. Yeah. It's, I don't know. It is what it is. Speaking of TV operating systems, I was at PepCom last week in New York, looking at all the new things that are coming for the gadgets for the holiday season, and we'll probably have some to talk about. In fact, I know we'll have some to talk about here. But one brand that I was surprised to see there was our friends from TiVo. The TiVo interface, the TiVo kind of experience lives on in the United States inside Sharp TVs now. Wow. But it's kind of like an Apple TV style interface where you're basically just managing your apps and the services from which you get your content. And it tries to bring you a show-centric, a content-centric view as opposed to an app-centric view. Yeah. Which is nice. I mean, that's what TiVo has always been. If we kind of zoom out far enough, that it's always just been, I don't care what channel that show's on, I just want to watch it. Where it gets tricky is, Netflix doesn't give people like TiVo or Apple access into your view history. So it has to make some guesses. Like if you choose a show and then go into Netflix, it'll be like, all right, great. I'm going to remember that you like that show and bring you to Netflix. I can't tell you if there's a new episode out, but that kind of thing. So it's a really nice interface. They had something a couple years ago called the TiVo Stream, I want to say, that lived for all of about 5 minutes. We have a couple of them. And that TiVo Stream was effectively a set-top box. It wasn't really a set-top box, but it worked as that, plugged into an HDMI port, and gave you that a similar, older version of this same interface that you get in the Sharp TVs, just on any TV. But it seems like they want to be out of the hardware business, so they're just doing software and embedding it. Other brands in other countries, and in the U.S. it's just it's Sharp. So, which I found interesting. Figured I'd mention it while we're talking about TVs. Yeah,
TiVo lives. That's probably the most interesting thing to me.
I know
they were still around.
Yeah, it was like, you spent money to be at PepCom. Why? Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. So
I will say I do. I mean, again, I wish certain companies like Netflix would get over themselves and realize that this is actually a good thing, and I would watch more of their content if it was aggregated and with the other things that I watch, because it's very hard for me to even remember which shows are on which services.
Of course.
So I want to see it in this centralized view. And then it's like, oh yeah, I'm watching that show and I'm going to go back to that show. Yep. If they bury it, this is what I love about my Apple TV. Like I said, it's my main interface. I go right to the TV. I hit the TV button almost every time. It's either that or I'm going to YouTube. I mean, those are my two things. And then, it's like, oh yeah, I was in the middle watching this series or that series, or oh yeah, I wanted to catch that. And, it'll even surface. Now, to be fair, I think Apple needs to be a little more even-handed about where it puts the recommendations. They obviously put their shows right at higher up, so you got to scroll down to get to other content. I think Apple needs to be a little bit more fair about that. But I mean, other than that, I love that idea. So works.
Yeah, and I had this conversation with, to a degree, with the TiVo folks the other night that like as a consumer, the whole thing that Netflix does where they don't let you see into or don't let Apple see, or anyone, TiVo or anybody, see into it is consumer hostile, right? Like it in this sense. And I think, and we've had this conversation on the show a few times about how we as consumers of video content work around that. And Joe in the chat mentions that he uses an app called Just Watch. I think it was no, sorry, Brian 8944 in the chat said he uses Just Watch. We use one called TV Time, and I'm literally going and manually telling this app, yes, I watched this. Yes, I watched that. Right. And what I'm thinking, and maybe I'm missing out on this, maybe this already exists. I shouldn't have to. I would like my TV operating system of choice to know what it is I've watched and what I haven't, but it can't currently. But so I'm telling it. But why? And this is the part as I'm saying it, it's like somebody must have already done this. I have this app on my phone. I've got TV Time on my phone. Brian's got Just Watch on his. After we watch, but we dutifully log what we've watched. Before we watch, we go and look like, what should we watch? And then it's like, okay, where is that? That whole thing. Why isn't there an Apple TV interface for Just Watch where I can, or TV Time? And as I'm asking that, I realize I don't know the answer. There might already be, because if it can sync the data, even if I'm telling it, like, it doesn't matter where I'm telling it what I've watched. If I'm on my phone, great. I tell it I've watched, episode 2 of Matlock, whatever. Now episode 3 is out. Well, why couldn't I just launch that app on my Apple TV and have it bring me to whichever service I watch that on? It seems to me like we as the consumers are, many of us, no, not all of us, are already used to going through this trouble caused unnecessarily by services like Netflix. But if we're already doing it, why not bake it into your interface, right? Like, why wouldn't Apple TV say, tell me, why wouldn't it monitor all this stuff for me? Even if I have to be the one providing the data entry, or TiVo for that matter. So anyway.
Yes.
I feel like feedback at macgeekgab.com. Because I want to, like, there's got to be a better solution to this problem than the one that I am living with. And maybe there is a TV Time app for Apple TV, or for Just Watch, or for one of these, and then that's all I need. Maybe. I don't know. It's still ridiculous that we need to do this, mind you.
I'm trying to think, because I think there's third-party apps that integrate with Just Watch. I was trying to look up, and I think I use one called Film Noir TV Tracker.
Okay. Tracked. Yeah, that was another, or is another one, I should say. Yep.
Okay, so they've got Just Watch in their little description, probably for that exact reason, to kind of pull me in. But it feels like, yes, it feels like correct that there's got to be, at least if there's not a native Just Watched app for Apple TV, you'd think there'd be some sort of third-party one that integrates through APIs or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Why not? Yeah. Like, I mean, if I can have it on multiple, on my iPhone and my iPad and my Mac, why can't I have it on my TV? Why haven't I thought about this before? Like, this is the thing, right? I shouldn't have to. But anyway, here we are.
It very well could be one of those Apple things, right? Where Apple says, we do the aggregation of content on Apple TV and nobody else is allowed to do that aggregation.
Adam, Apple would never do anything of the sort. That's just so, that's preposterous, Adam. I know a bunch of us just got new iPhones. and because that's what happened.
Yeah.
With it, every year. I noticed on mine, I always have gone in and turned on low data mode for my my mobile connection, so that I'm not burning data that I don't need to burn. I also track my data usage on a monthly basis. I'm a little obsessive about it, but I just like to know, do I have the right amount, et cetera, et cetera. I noticed that my new phone, even though I'm still using my Mint Mobile account that I've had, low data mode was turned off. So that and that happens to everyone in my family. It turns out low data mode just gets turned off, or it doesn't get turned on when you migrate to a new device. That is the lesson. It doesn't like make it worse. It doesn't go into make my data hurt mode or whatever they call that. But it's it's just in normal mode. So if you want low data mode on, go ahead and check. Make sure it's actually on. Our son, when we were traveling this summer, and I don't know how this happened. He's fairly, to say he's fairly technically astute is probably an understatement. But the eSIM that he installed while we were in Canada, or was it Canada? Yeah. I don't know. Oh, no. We didn't need an eSIM in Canada because Mint has Canada, but he had to buy one because he ran out of data while we were in Canada. It's like, what have you been doing? Like, why? And he went in and he realized his phone was in, make my data hurt mode or whatever. And so it was just downloading everything. So, yeah. Oops. Yeah. So he had to buy an eSIM, which was a whole fiasco for some unknown reason. Like it became this thing, but like it wouldn't activate right. It was a whole thing. But anyway, yeah, we were tethering him to our phones. It was stupid. Yeah.
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 All right.
Anyway, so that's my quick tip. Yes.
I've got Bill. He's got some follow-up from some of the stuff we were talking about, I think on 11/13.
Yep.
Last week. We were talking about different ways to get to a path in the terminal. And he says, more on the quick tip about opening terminal from the Finder. You can control click on the path bar at the bottom of a Finder window and choose open in terminal. Yes, that is a really cool way to do it as well. And you just need to make sure that you have the path bar turned on, which I think is in the view settings, maybe in the Finder.
Yeah. I
show path bar, Command Option P to show or hide the path bar, the little bar at the bottom.
Yeah, I never until Bill's tip came in, I never noticed that was a thing. So it's fine. I just never noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Okay. So what's? Yeah, I love this. I'm testing things out, and really, I should be prepping for the next thing because I love this. But I like when I learn stuff. It's part of the fun. Gene says there are several ways to use the top row of keys as standard function keys, including holding the globe key, toggling using a shortcut placed in the control center, switching a button to always use as standard function keys, keyboard maestro macro, and others. And these are all really good. I'm thinking now. One very good way to toggle the function key row is to assign a key combination like Option Shift Command F as a service, which can be done in Settings, Keyboard Shortcuts, Services, Shortcuts, Toggle Function Keys. This will quickly change the top row back and forth between standard function key use and computer control use without multiple clicks. That's really smart. So yeah, go into System Settings, Keyboard Shortcuts, and then you're setting a shortcut for the toggle function keys, which is inside Services and Shortcuts. So it's a little thing. We'll put this path in the show notes. But yeah, I really like that. Yes. And then he has a bonus tip for us. There are two sets of services that you can download from Devon Technologies available for free in the App Store. One is called Word Service and the other is called Calc Service. And we will put links to both of these things. Access setup for these in the Settings, Keyboard, Services, Text. And he says a favorite service that he uses all the time is Calculate and Append. I prefer this service over Apple's native implementation of this capability, which can be slow and buggy sometimes. For example, when a line of text includes 2 equals signs. Gene, this is great stuff. Huh. Calc service, word service. Love it. Have you used either of these things from Devon Technologies?
No, Devon makes great stuff, though.
They do. Yeah. Huh. All right. Well, I've put links to all of them in the show notes, and then also the paths that you would use to access settings for those. So thank you for that, Gene. Amazing. Yeah.
All right. I think Bill has another one for us, and I'm pretty sure it's the same Bill, because he says, I was listening to MGG 1113 again this morning and have solutions to the desire to have settings listed alphabetically on the Mac. If the setting app is closed, right-click on its icon, and you get an alphabetical listing in the first, and he provided a screenshot in the first screenshot. If the app is already open, simply select View in the menu bar at the top of the screen, and you'll get an alphabetical listing in the second screenshot shown below. So he provided some screenshots that show, when you go to the View menu, it will be listed alphabetically, and if you right-click on the icon when it's not open, it will show the all of these settings alphabetically. Now, I think we did determine it doesn't show everything, if I'm remembering right from the last thing, but it shows most of them, the main kind of top level things, I think.
Yeah, it's odd. The menu is the same in both places. So last week, you're right, we talked about the View menu. You can get to that by right-clicking, which is what Bill is sort of adding here. But there's no general in this list. However, Time Machine is in this list, which is not a top-level thing. So I feel like somebody somewhere along the lines needs to, forgot to sync these things up with each other, or maybe this is intentional. I don't know. Time Machine used to be a top-level one, and now it's not. So I don't know what the thinking is behind that. But anyway.
Rhyme or reason. But hey, alphabetical list.
Alphabetical list. Yeah, exactly. All right. We have some don't get caughts to go through here. The next thing that I want to do is talk about our sponsor. And if you're like me, you are constantly juggling tech setups between business, clients, and remote teams. And you know that securing all of that shouldn't be a full-time job. That's why I've got my eye on our sponsor, NordLayer. And yeah, I'm getting ready to bring it into one of my businesses. NordLayer is like flipping a switch to bring enterprise-grade network security to your entire team without needing to be a cybersecurity expert. It's a VPN, access manager, and threat protector rolled into one, built on NordVPN's trusted tech, but made specifically for businesses. You can scale it in minutes, onboard your team, monitor devices, and even implement zero-trust network access. If you've got remote workers or just want full control over who can access what and when, this is your solution. Don't get caught with a security setup that can't keep up. Get the exclusive Black Friday offer of 28% off NordLayer yearly plans with the coupon code MacGeekGab-28. This is valid until December 10th, 2025. You can try it risk-free, 14-day money-back guarantee. Again, that's MacGeekGab-28, and you can head to NordLayer.com/MacGeekGab where you can use that code. The offer ends December 10th, and our thanks to NordLayer for sponsoring this episode. And hey, you ever notice that purple Shop Pay button when you're checking out online? That's our sponsor, Shopify. And if you're like me, you've probably clicked it more times than you'd like to admit because it just works, right? When we're trying to buy something, it makes it easy. And here's the thing. Shopify doesn't just make it easy to buy things. It makes it insanely easy to sell things for your business, too. If you've got an idea you're ready to turn into a business, Shopify has your back from day one. Build a beautiful storefront with zero coding thanks to their ready-made templates. Use built-in AI tools to write product descriptions, boost your product photos, and launch email or social media campaigns like you've got a full marketing team behind you, because you do. It's Shopify. And they're not some fly-by-night operation, right? Shopify powers 10% of all U.S. e-commerce. That's everything from Mattel to Gymshark to, well, me. I use it with one of my other shows. And potentially you. So don't get caught letting your ideas sit on the shelf. Turn your big business idea into ka-ching with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/MGG. That's shopify.com/MGG. Again, go to shopify.com/MGG. And our thanks to Shopify for sponsoring this episode. All right. It's time for some don't get caught stuff here, Adam. And I will start in the last episode. Scott shares that in the last episode, you were professing your admiration for Fantastical. And Scott also uses Fantastical. He has found, he shares this PSA, this don't get caught with us. It is not limited to Fantastical. It is any calendar app. BusyCal also is affected by what we're about to talk about, as is Apple's native calendar app. And perhaps that's the best way to say this. It says, the problem occurs when sending an invitation to an event that it is on an iCloud calendar. He says, for years, I would send invitations from calendar apps, and they were apparently delivered inconsistently, with no warning, of course, to the sender. This was so frustrating, as it was the one thing about Apple OS and services that didn't just work. And here's why. When you send an invitation to an event on an iCloud calendar, Apple's system, inexplicably, looks to see if the email address to which you are sending the invitation is associated with an iCloud account. And of course, everyone that has an Apple device of any kind has an iCloud account and might have their email associated with it. If Apple sees that the email to which the invitation is sent, regardless of whether it is your own domain or Gmail or Outlook or whatever else you use, if they see that that address is associated with an iCloud account, then Apple delivers the invitation to your iCloud account and skips sending you an email invite to the same event. Repeated tests and confirmation from the smarties at Fantastical confirm this wacky, unexpected, and incredibly counterintuitive behavior. If you send an invitation to example@gmail.com, example@outlook.com, or example@yourowndomain.com, if that address is associated with an iCloud account, you will not get the invitation via email. You will have to check your iCloud account online or in your calendar app for the little notification. That's the only indication you will get. I have seen this too. I'm surprised I don't think it's ever come up on the show. I'm assuming you've run into it as well, Adam.
I've not really run into it. I never noticed it, but it's definitely a good thing to know. I have all of my emails associated with my iCloud account, so
yeah.
I would never get an email, apparently. But I mean, like I said, I use Fantastical and I get notifications, and it integrates great with iCloud. And so I guess I've never run into this exact issue because that's just how I interact with my calendar. I don't typically look for email invites.
Well, you wouldn't. There's a good reason for that. You wouldn't get them most of the time.
Get them, yeah, it sounds like at all.
And I would say that this is not limited to Apple either. I have seen this with things sent to my Google Calendar, to an email address associated with a Google Calendar, especially like a Google Apps for Domains thing. The same kind of thing happens where you don't get the just sort of the raw email notification. And the reason for this, I think, is when you invite someone to an event on your Apple Calendar or on your Google Calendar, it's not your email client that sends out that invitation. It's Apple's system that sends the invitation, or if you're doing it on a Google Calendar, it's Google's system that sends that invitation. So it's trying to be smart about deciding, okay, do I need to send this as emails, or can I bypass that and just go straight to this calendar? And that's all fine and good if, in fact, you are using your Apple Calendar, right? But a lot of people don't. A lot of people will only use, a Google Calendar or something and not even realize that they have this Apple Calendar. So the invitations don't even show up for them. And that's where things get frustrating. Like if you have your work email address associated with your iCloud account, but you're only using, say, Google Calendar for work, well, now if somebody invites you from Apple, it's never going to make it outside of Apple's ecosystem to get to you. And that's where things, I wish there was a way to say, hey, always send to me here this one way. Like I want it via email, but I don't know. There's no way. I have found when I want to invite people to calendar events, I use BusyCal. I know Fantastical has a similar functionality as what I'm about to explain. But once I've created the event, I go in and choose, like next to the person's name or next to the event, send as email with attachment. And then BusyCal creates its own ICS invite attachment, puts that in my mail client. I can send it to whoever I want. And now I am certain that it is being sent via email because generally I don't have to do anything. The email just kind of works. It puts the addresses at the top and, it does all the things. But I click send on it, that's for sure. And that tends to work quite well. So, yeah, it's a funky thing. Don't get caught. It's good. Thanks for that, Scott. Don't get caught.
Mark has one. Mark UK rather has one that is a little bit of follow-up to another discussion we were having about running your Mac from external SSDs. He says, hey guys, I was listening to an episode where you were talking about running a Mac Mini from an external SSD, but found that there is a port that shouldn't be used. It's the DFU port. And then he provides a link, which we'll add to the show notes, to identify the DFU port on a Mac. I don't know if do all Macs have a DFU port?
I didn't even know what a DFU port was. So yes, we'll dig into that. But I think we should finish his tip first and then figure this out.
Okay.
Yeah.
He also provided a link to a Corsair branded SSD drive that he likes. He says it's reasonably priced USB 4, and bonus it has MagSafe for an iPhone. So we'll have a link to that as well. He says, keep up the good work. It's the only podcast I wouldn't miss since I switched from Windows in 2013. Well, that's awesome. And then lastly, I think another kind of bonus, don't get caught. He says, can you make sure to give the proper feedback address, as I've been sending this to feedback@macgeek.com. Oh no.
Oh no.
I think feedback@macgeekgab.com would still work, right, Dave?
Yeah, it does. It does. I try not to advertise that, but yes, it does. Yes. Feedback does work.
But it is feedback@macgeekgab.com.
Yeah, I don't think we own the macgeek.com domain, but I'll look into that before this episode goes live.
No, I checked it. It's okay. A guy named Jonathan Reach or something like that.
Yeah.
Segway enthusiast.
Oh, interesting.
And it links to his Wikipedia page.
All right. Well, there you go.
So I probably mutilated his last name, but
sure.
Anyway.
So this DFU port is the device firmware update port, I'm learning as I'm reading here. And Apple's instruction, which we'll link to, says, with some exceptions, the DFU port is the USB-C port furthest to the left or furthest to the right when you're facing the ports. I see. Okay. So the MacBook Pro, it's the USB-C port furthest to the right when you're facing the left-hand side of the Mac. Okay. You just want to look at this for your own thing. But yeah. And there's some pictures, like it is super confusing, and they have done their darndest to make to let you know. But that's the device firmware update port. And I guess the issue is if you're trying to boot from an external SSD, there's a world where your Mac might see that boot drive as a DFU intended for DFU functionality, and maybe wouldn't boot right. I'm not sure what the issue is there, but
Okay.
But I avoid it, right?
Avoid it.
So yeah,
According to Mark UK.
yeah, makes sense. Okay, cool, fun. All right, Terry sent in an article that sometimes companies do things that don't make sense at all, Adam. And here is one. General Motors is saying goodbye to Apple CarPlay. And who was this that wrote this? Oh, Popular Mechanics is the article that Terry linked to. And the subheading is, our only real question is, why? So, yeah, General Motors will ditch support for both CarPlay and Android Auto starting in, I guess, with even some of the 2025 models, but certainly with 2026 models.
Wait, I think you scrolled past it. I was trying to read off your screen really quick. This is like the CEO said customers complained about clunky interface. What?
And so they're going to give them their own now. Yeah.
I think that's what I read right there. Decoder, where she revealed that customers had complained about clunky transitions from CarPlay Android Auto to the vehicle's native infotainment interface. Here's an idea. Why not just have it default to CarPlay or Android Auto and dump your clunky, lame native interface altogether?
Well, isn't that what CarPlay 2 is all about? Is more integration, right? So you don't have to revert back to the the car's default interface. So
yes, I mean I have a Ford Bronco Sport 2022, I think it is.
Yeah,
and Ford's interface is god awful. Like,
yeah,
I can't get it away fast enough. Now, obviously, there's a lot of controls, like you said, that I don't have access to.
Right.
But you're right. That's what CarPlay 2 is about. So like, go to the next generation thing where it actually works and integrates and looks beautiful and makes sense. And I can't imagine there's a lot of customers complaining about the clunky transition from, because everybody I know who uses either Android Auto or Apple, like that's the first thing they switch to. They're just like,
oh yeah,
I don't, And yes, you have to transition back for some of those other controls, but it's not that. I mean, it's not that bad. I think what's bad about that experience is that their interfaces suck so bad that you don't want to deal with them. Like that's probably the bigger complaint. It's just like, so make your interface prettier and make the transition process easier. That's the solution there.
Yeah. Or let your customers do what they want. Like,
right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Again, another thing that is customer hostile.
Yes,
another decision that's deliberately. I mean, again, I think if you polled most people in the world, this is not the world they want to live in.
No. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah,
awful.
It just doesn't. It's like, oh, we had this bad transition, so we're just getting rid of it. Okay. Did you, no pun intended, did you road test this? Did you sit people down in your test cars and ask them which one they liked better? Like, it just doesn't. Anyway, thank you, Terry, for letting us know. It's good to know. Chris has one, speaking of cars.
Yes, and I should have had that queued up and ready.
That's
I do.
Okay.
Chris says, your guest on the recent show recommended putting an AirTag in the car or vehicle for tracking, especially once the manufacturer's support ended. You recommended putting it in the glove box. However, that defeats the purpose since a thief could easily find it and throw it out the window. I use AirTags in all our vehicles and hide them in places that would be nearly impossible to find. As a matter of fact, I write down the locations in my notes app so I can find them.
That's smart.
When it is time to replace the batteries. P.S. Whenever I get into my vehicle, the AirTag starts chirping a few times. I'm not sure why it is doing that, but it could be because I have two iPhones, one for work and one for personal use. I'm not aware the chirp being for notifying people that they're being tracked. As far as I know, they would get an on-screen notification that the AirTag has been following them. I thought the chirp was when the battery was low. I thought they did that when it was change the batteries.
I think he's referring to the chirping that I was talking about, which was new to iOS 26, where I would, every time I got in my car and left my house, the device would chirp. Right. And it's just one that I have on an old pair of AirPods that I keep in my car. And that's what prompted me to go in and look at like the addresses list, the list of addresses where it shouldn't be chirping, or it shouldn't be notifying me or whatever. And that's when I found that it somehow Apple had auto-populated it with like, Hampton Coliseum and things like that I never would have. After going in and messing with that list, though, this problem went away. So I think there's some bug in iOS 26 that caused this for us. But going in and looking at those, addresses where notifications should be on or off, that seems to have sort of re-pushed all that. So, yeah. But KiwiGraham says the chirp is also to notify of a tracker being placed on you, a.k.a. stalking you. So,
right. So nice for that as well.
Yeah. KiwiGraham also has a don't get caught based on a quick tip earlier in this episode, commenting that copy as Pathname, when you do that to use it in the terminal, pasting it into the terminal does not escape the special characters. So if you are copying as a Pathname and you want to paste it into the terminal for like using in a command or whatever, you might want to wrap whatever you're pasting in quotes so that those special characters are treated properly by the terminal. So thank you for that quick little don't get caught. Love the real-time feedback. It's one of my favorite things. I had an issue, speaking of OS's 26, Adam, where I had a shortcut. I'm trying to remember which of my shortcuts. Oh, right. I have a shortcut that parses email addresses. When I get email addresses from PR agents for Gig Gab, I want to put them on my mailing list too, because I want PR agents in the music industry to know that Gig Gab exists. So I just put them back on my list. It's fine. You can hate me for that if you want. It's fine. But I have it parse the address, and I do it, and they get notifications, and the episodes go out, which they can unsubscribe to, of course. And again, I would never do this to like a listener or a guest on the show. It's just the PR agents that decide to send me email without me asking. I'm just going to return the favor. So I have this shortcut that does a bunch of things, and one of them is it matches based on the contents. I copy it to the clipboard and then run this shortcut. And sometimes what I have is just their email address. Other times what I have is their email address with their name in front of it. And so which would wrap the email address in brackets, I think. And so I have it match based on that in the shortcuts. I use the match thing to decide whether to treat it as just an email address or to go through the process of parsing it out and splitting the first and last name and all that stuff. I'm happy to share the shortcut if anybody ever wants it. But my point here today is that this shortcut has been working. It continued to work up until I went to make a minor edit to it in macOS 26, after which it stopped working. And I went nuts. I troubleshooting. It was like, how did I break it? The way that I broke it was by editing the shortcut. What I realized after far more time than I would have liked to have spent on it is that the match instruction in shortcuts has been replaced by a new instruction called match. And if you leave your shortcut alone, it operates as it always has. But as soon as you edit it, you have to rebuild, delete, and re-add the match instruction for it to actually successfully match anything. So it's just one of those fun little things. So I share it out there. If you're using the match instruction in a shortcut, just go and replace it. It looks the same, but it's new. And if you are using the old one, it will fail silently, but it will never have a match. And the only way I figured it out was going through and putting like breakpoints in my shortcut, like telling the alerts saying, you are here now, you are here now, you are here now. And it's like, why isn't it getting there? It should get there. It's like, oh, wait a minute. And as soon as I replaced it, it was like, yep, everything worked again. So hopefully that helps at least one person out there. Probably doesn't hit the 20% rule, but it's one of those things. Shortcuts, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add to any of this, Adam?
No, I think we should move on to some questions, probably.
I would love to move on to questions. The next thing that before we do questions, the next thing that I want to do is talk about more of our sponsors.
And you know how it is, right? Our tech runs best with a good startup sequence, right? Well, it's the same thing for me and my body and you. Lately, I've been starting my day with AG1, our sponsor, and it has made a noticeable difference. After a month, maybe a little more than a month of using it, I'm more focused in the morning. My energy stays steady right up through the afternoon. And if I'm being candid, it's nice not to have to take a handful of different pills to stay on track every morning. AG1 gives me a scoop of whole body support with vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and adaptogens, all in one tasty, super easy to mix drink. And it's become part of my daily routine, right? It's a health upgrade that fits right into the same workflow I use to prep for the show, right? So while you're automating your backups and tweaking your scripts, maybe it's time to optimize your body's startup process too. Don't get caught running on empty. Head over to drinkag1.com/MGG to get a free welcome kit with AG1 Flavor Sampler and a bottle of vitamin D3 plus K2 when you first subscribe. Again, that's drinkag1.com/MGG. Go check it out. I've really been loving this stuff. The flavors, all of them that I've tried, are just delicious. It's a really wonderful way to start the day. drinkag1.com/MGG. And our thanks to AG1 for sponsoring this episode. And, every time I sit down to manage team logistics, right, the contracts, the onboarding, that sort of thing, I think there's got to be a better way. And there is. That's where our sponsor, Gusto, comes in. I'm not using it yet, but I've been eyeing it for one of my other businesses. But let's be honest, no one starts a business because they love calculating tax withholdings. Well, almost no one. It turns out Gusto did, right? They love this stuff. They're an online payroll and benefits software built for small businesses. Gusto is all-in-one, remote-friendly, and incredibly easy to use. So you can pay, hire, onboard, and support your team from anywhere. That's what's got me seriously considering making the switch. Automatic payroll tax filing. Yep. Direct deposits and benefits. Yep. Unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price with no hidden fees. Yep. That's a don't get caught moment right there. If you're juggling a growing team, you owe it to yourself to at least look at Gusto like we are. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/MGG and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/MGG. One more time, gusto.com/MGG. And our thanks to Gusto for sponsoring this episode.
All right. Time to go to questions here, Adam. And yeah, John has our first one for today. And it's gift giving season here is how this all works out. Yeah. John says, our family is all in on Apple. My wife has some Jabra 85T earbuds that she doesn't use much. I'm thinking about getting her AirPods because if connecting to her iPhone were simpler and more reliable, she would use her earbuds more. And he says he officially has to state that this has nothing to do with our family not wanting to hear her speakerphone calls anymore. Right. Understood. He says, of course, because I'm an audio nerd, I'm always using my niche gear, so I have never owned AirPods. I want to go as cheap as possible in case she doesn't like them. That's fair. If I were to gift her some, which model should I get? Adam?
Yeah. A lot of good information in there. I mean, it feels like the immediate choice, if you're looking for the cheapest, would just be go with the AirPods 4, right? Which is the entry level ones, $129, really good price. I think the question comes down to, I'm assuming, maybe I shouldn't assume, but do the Jabras, even though she doesn't use them much now, do they have any kind of noise cancellation? Is that important or not important? Because if it is important, there is AirPods 4 with noise cancellation. And I'm trying to think, they all have now, I can't remember if they all now have the silicone tips, because fit is another thing that comes into play.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know if they're all designed the same. And then obviously your last choice is going to be AirPods Pro 3 at $249. So it's $129, $179. So it's $50 more to get the noise cancellation on the AirPods 4, and then $249. So it's that bigger jump. So if you're just looking to save money, it feels to me like the AirPods 4 with noise cancellation would be the nice kind of middle ground, because you get a little bit of noise cancellation. It's probably not going to be as nearly as good as what's in the AirPods Pro 3, but you have it.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I would imagine it's still pretty good.
Yeah, my son has them because he prefers to have the non-sealing AirPods, which is really the difference, right? The AirPods Pro is built to, and if the fit is right, it would seal in your ear, and so it's got passive noise cancellation out of the gate, right? The AirPods 3 and 4, the general AirPods, do not. They are not built to seal in your ear, but somehow Apple has made it so that the noise cancellation works really well, even without a seal, which I think is great. So
yeah. So again, you don't have the silicone tips. It's just the classic AirPod shape, it looks like. And I know they've kind of tweaked it over the years to try and make it better. So I haven't tried specific, or I had the original AirPods, and they were fine. They fit okay for me, but I know they don't fit for everybody. Yep. I will say that I find the AirPods Pro incredibly comfortable. Especially, now that you have, I think they have now 5 different sizes of silicone tips that come with them, so you can find the exact right fit, what's comfortable for you. So if fit is something that is important to you, then you might, or your wife, you might want to lean towards the AirPods Pro 3, even though, you're going to be spending a little bit more.
Another way to go is refurbished.
Sure.
Apple does have refurb AirPods on the store. I assume that in addition to being refurbed, they are cleaned. Most of the time, the stuff that is listed on Apple's refurb store, it is, and this is my anecdotal experience, is not actually used. It is stuff that was, dead on arrival or overstock or whatever. Apple engineers go through it, make sure everything's good, fix anything that's not, and then it goes on the refurb store. Currently, this is really weird. Currently, they have AirPods Pro 2 on the refurb store. So instead of paying $249 for AirPods Pro 3, you can pay $189 for a refurb set of AirPods Pro 2 from Apple.
Nice.
Well, nice, but don't click buy quite yet, because you can go to Amazon and get Apple AirPods Pro 2 for $169, $20 less than Apple's refurb. And these, I presume, these are listed as new on Apple's or on Amazon. So that might be a good,
That's $10 less than the AirPods 4 with active noise cancellation.
$10 more. Right? Isn't it? Isn't AirPods
$179?
$179. You are correct, sir. Yes, that's right. Yeah, so there you go. Right. So there are some options here for sure. Yeah. And I know we talked about it recently, but it's worth stating again. Try, if you get AirPods and you like all of the features of them, but you don't like the fit, try third-party tips for them. There are plenty available, some made by vendors like Comply that have brand names that we know about, and some made by vendors with names that we've never heard about before. But if they've worked for you, then they work for you. It's totally okay, So, yep, it's just the tip. It's not. I know. It's not. The speaker remains the same in the AirPod. This is literally just the part that holds it in your ear. So, all of our ears are a little bit different. It makes sense that different tips would fit. I don't like Apple's tips for the AirPods Pro 2, but I have a set of complies and they're fantastic. So yeah.
On the fit thing, here's a question, and I can't believe I'm going to ask this because I can't imagine how this would work or be sanitary. But does Apple, like, if you go in an Apple store, can you try AirPods like in store?
That's
I don't
a good
know
question.
If I'd want to.
Yeah. My guess is that I that's a great question. My guess is that they would happily throw away tips to help sell AirPods. Yeah. I mean, right? I would assume. Whenever I go to conferences or trade shows or whatever, when people are testing them out, they happily will just keep throwing tips away to let you test it, because otherwise, who would test it? So
yeah, and wipe them down with cleansing wipes and all that.
Yeah,
fun stuff,
yeah, that's true. You could do alcohol wipes or whatever would kind of yeah, that's right. For
the regular AirPods. But yeah, I only bring it up because KiwiGraham in the Discord chat said none of the AirPods fit properly for his wife. So, and I think fit does end up becoming really important, especially with earbuds. Like if 100%. They don't fit well, you're not going to use them. So that's going to be your biggest challenge, is just making sure that they're going to be comfortable to be worn. Because if not, you're just not going to wear them.
Right. Yep. I have found that Apple's tips are, well, I guess with AirPods Pro 3 now, they come with some foam tips too. Apple's tips previously were not foam. I have found that the foam tips are the ones that work for me the best. And they, I would assume that they need to be replaced more frequently than just the silicone tips. But I mean, I get a year out of a set of foam tips, and they fit fine in the case, which is really important with AirPods. But yeah, so I'll put a link to the Comply foam tips for the AirPods. But just to give you an example, I'll put that in the show notes. So
cool.
All right. Yeah. It's always fun stuff. Where are we? Oh, yeah. This isn't so much a question as it is just a thing. Kirit says, I'm using a M4 Max Mac Studio, and I upgraded to Tahoe as soon as it was released, so macOS 26. Unfortunately, I regretted it almost as soon as it was installed. Several things have stopped working, and while I managed to resolve some issues over time, a few persistent bugs remained, most notably with Bartender. After a few updates, Bartender began functioning again, but I started experiencing random system freezes. The screen would lock up for no apparent reason, forcing me to restart. Eventually, after one restart, the display stayed completely dark right after login. Apple support had me reinstall Tahoe, but the problem persisted. After 2 remote sessions, they referred me to the Genius Bar. There, the issue reappeared, so the technician performed what I've learned to call a revive operation by reinstalling the firmware, probably with the DFU port that I just learned about. Yeah. That temporarily solved the issue, but once I brought the Mac home, the same freezing returned. On my next visit, Apple assigned a senior engineer. He made several adjustments and had me remove all login items. After doing so, the system became noticeably more stable. Through additional testing, I found that Bartender and Alfred were the main culprits. It seems Apple may have effectively Sherlocked, or at least borked, the APIs used by these utilities, and intentional or not, there appear to be conflicts with macOS 26 Tahoe. I've uninstalled both, which improves stability, though occasional freezes still occur. At this point, I have no login items enabled. Instead, I've created one shortcut to launch my usual apps like Mail, Safari, Chrome, Messages, etc., and another to launch usual utilities like Dropbox, Paste, PopClip, etc. I've put their icons in the dock so that I can launch them when needed. Interestingly, both Bartender and Alfred remain installed on my MacBook Air, which runs Tahoe without any issues. If anybody's encountered similar, I'd greatly appreciate your insights. I have things to add to this. Do you have anything to add initially?
No, I think it goes back to our conversation where we were talking about which operating systems we've upgraded to and when and how we're upgrading. And I have not put Tahoe on any of my Macs yet, so I'm not experiencing any of these things. And this is exactly the reason why. It's just like I want to let things shake out a little bit. The Mac's a little bit more finicky than, the other operating systems when it comes to this kind of stuff, because it's not as locked down. There's a lot more things that third-party apps could be taking advantage of doing. And like here it's pointing out, I mean, Apple tweaks things and then, little interfaces or little things have quirks, bugs, or just are broken completely. So,
yep. Yes, exactly. Yeah. This, again, it's all anecdotal what we do here, but we hear enough from people, especially when there's problems, that, patterns start to emerge. And what he noted, there's two patterns really. Bartender is certainly an app that was greatly impacted by some of the changes that were made with macOS 26 Tahoe, for sure. And they're working on it. In fact, we have a cool stuff found we're about to do that might give some additional or give another option. But the other pattern that I certainly am experiencing, Kirit's experiencing it, and we see other reports that support this, is the inconsistency with the stability of macOS 26 from Mac to Mac. And where that gets and that's always true, right? We get questions in or people reporting stuff and it's like, oh, this doesn't work. It's like, well, it works for me. So like, what are you doing differently is always kind of how the troubleshooting process works. And that's totally fine. What's interesting is for the same person, the same primary user is having great experience on one Mac and unstable or issues on another one. It's like, I know you might have some different things running or using it slightly differently, but it's you, it's me. And the fact that this computer in the studio runs fine, my laptop runs fine, but my Mac Mini in the office is still struggling with like indexing and like all these other things. It's like, what? I'm not doing anything differently.
Right.
Like, I'm sure I am, but like, I've never experienced this before, and I've never seen this many reports that sort of support this. There's just something unfinished about Tahoe. Now, I know that we are on the heel. I have not followed my own advice of maybe on my problematic machine I should install the 26.1 betas. I probably should have, but I just haven't. I lived with the devil I know. That's,
right. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But I know that we're on the heels of 26.1 being released to the wild, and that will be the first computer I upgrade if, in fact, I don't pull the trigger on a beta before then. So I'm eager to see what 26.1 does for me, because I really feel like I've spent more of my time troubleshooting than I should have, especially this time of year where we have a lot of work to do. But it's my daily driver. So, I deal with it long enough and then it's like, why can't I get this fixed? So yeah, it's just odd. It's interesting noticing these things. So anyway.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right.
You want to take us to that cool stuff found from Scott?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what Scott has to say. Which is it? Hidden Bar?
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I got two from Scott.
Yeah,
so
that's
Scott
true.
Has a cool stuff found. So you were talking about Tahoe and Bartender. Yes, we were in a recent episode. Oh no, we were just talking about it just now too.
Yeah, but also yes,
Mac
that's
Geek
right.
Gab 1112. Back a few years ago, the original author of Bartender sold the app to a company. I can't remember the details, but since you had to approve the app to access your Mac screen. There was a huge kerfuffle in the community about this unknown company having access to everyone's Mac screens. Everyone panicked and uninstalled it. Anyway, in those dark days, I explored other options. I switched to another similar app called Hidden Bar, which is available from the Mac App Store. So it's a little more locked down. Uses approved APIs, and well, for what it's worth, I've had no issues when upgrading to Tahoe. Just thought I'd mention it to you guys. So there you go. There's an alternative.
Yes, there you go. I'm looking at the version history here. Interestingly, Hidden Bar has not seen an update in over 4 years. June of 2021 was the most recent update. But I did install it on one of my Macs, and it works great. So...
Maybe
it
works. Right?
Maybe it doesn't need an update. Yeah, it's fairly simple. operates a little bit differently than Bartender, but solves the same problem where it lets you manage your bar. So, and in a sense, Apple has Sherlocked these utilities by allowing you to control your what appears in your menu bar in system settings. It's very rudimentary what you get with macOS, though. It's on or off, and you can't say, but I want this on only in this scenario kind of thing. No, it's are you going to ever let it appear or never let it appear? That's it. But, for stability, that can be a helpful thing. So I share. Yeah, good stuff. Love it. Chris has one. Chris from Malta actually has our next one, our next cool stuff found here. He says, on show on 1111, you discussed OBD adapters and options for monitoring things in your car. He says, my wife drives a 2020 Nissan Leaf and currently has all the functionality enabled over 4G. The horn, the remote heat and cooling, battery status, etc. Nissan will soon hold their hand out and ask for a subscription fee. And while my wife loves the creature comforts, I'm too cheap to pay. He says, I've come across an option called OVMS, Open Vehicle Monitoring System, that involves a device plugged into your OBD port, but has its own GPS and GSM antennas. Apart from the Nissan functionality, it also monitors stuff like tire pressures, cabin temperature, battery state, and fault codes in real time. It also seems to integrate with Home Assistant, so that's a nice bonus too. Yeah, I've never heard of this OVMS before, but it sure seems interesting. One-time fee versus a subscription, and presumably you could move it to another car because it's just plugging into your OBD2 port. So, I don't know. Yeah, fun. Cool. We'll put a link to that in the show notes. Thanks, Chris from Malta. Fun stuff.
Neat stuff.
Yeah.
Here's another little car thing, and I did not know about this, but Terry says, I've stumbled across another cool stuff found gem for CarPlay. If you are a AAA Auto Club member, grab their Auto Club app. Once it's installed, you'll unlock some surprisingly handy CarPlay features. When you open the app in CarPlay, you'll see quick access tabs for the nearest gas station with live pricing updates, EV charging, nearby AAA branches, and roadside assistance. If you're using CarPlay, definitely make sure the Auto Club app is downloaded and visible on your CarPlay screen. Just head to Settings, CarPlay, Your Car, Customize, Apps, and then drag the Auto Club up to the first page so it's right where you need it. He says, I've had fun finding the best gas prices, locating chargers, and exploring other AAA goodies right from my dash. Don't get caught. I could have used this. We just were on a trip, and my wife said, do you still have that app that, and I think it was Gas Buddy.
Oh, yeah.
That shows you like the nearest gas prices and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't know if I have it installed, and it probably has already been offloaded because I don't use it that often. But yeah, I could have used the AAA because I'm a AAA member. I have been for a long, long time. I mean, I get it mainly just for the towing, but I also use the app for roadside assistance. So if I do need roadside assistance, the app's great for getting that. You don't have to call anybody. They have a chat part of it, and you can just request access and get all kinds of updates and notifications and stuff like that. It works perfectly. And then the other thing that I really like about it is it lets me put my AAA card in my Apple Wallet. So I don't have to have the physical card.
Very nice. The AAA app is great for requesting service. You can just do it right in the app. It's super quick. Yeah, love that. Huh. Had no idea about the CarPlay stuff. Now I need to go. Here's another thing that is customer hostile. When I organize, you go into your phone, you organize. Maybe you don't know this. Maybe there's a quick tip. You can change the order in which apps appear in your CarPlay interface. You do it in your phone. You do it by car. And what's frustrating about that is if you move to a new car, it just goes back to a default. There's no way to say, take the order of my apps from car number 1 and copy that, please, to car number 2. What I have done is taken screenshots, opened them in preview on my Mac so I can have them in front of me, and then done it that way and reordered. But again, it's all right there. And this isn't like the TV thing where there's actually a reason to not have this. I'm just shocked that this exists. And I understand that copying the order from one car to another wouldn't necessarily give me the same experience because different cars have different layout. And in fact, one of my cars, it changed from having 3 lines of apps to 2 lines with iOS 26, which I really loved that they took that away. So that's cool. But you know, there should be a way to do this, but there's not. And it's a pain in the neck. And of course, I only think about it while I'm driving. So, you know, maybe when I process the show notes for this episode, I'll remember, be like, oh, it's time to do that. So, but until then, no.
Sounds like the perfect place for a fist shake in Discord.
It is. This is a fish shake. Yeah, for sure. We've had quite a few fish shakes this episode, Adam. Maybe Pete's energy perhaps diffuses any fist shaking from happening. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe we just shake our fists at Pete. No. I have been testing a thing, Adam, and it is the Withings Sleep Pad. Actually, it's just called Withings Sleep. But it is an under mattress pad that helps you track your sleep. And it does some cool things. It of course monitors your sleep itself. And this is amazing that it does this, but it does from under the mattress. It monitors your heartbeat. It monitors your movement, so it knows, are you in, different stages of sleep, all of that stuff without having to wear anything, without having to do anything. It is completely passive. It's $200. It has an app. It links with Apple Health in both directions, so you can really kind of do all the stuff. And it's amazing. I mean, it's setting it up took, I don't know, 7 minutes or something, and it just works. If you are someone who wants to track your sleep, and it has a few things that are a little different than what your Apple Watch would do. Your Apple Watch has a few things that it won't do, but the really nice part about this is you don't have to wear your watch to sleep. You don't have to remember to wear your watch to sleep. You don't have to remember to do anything. You just go to sleep, and it figures it out. There is a level of sleep apnea detection in the sleep pad in the US. There is a much more medical grade apnea detection in the EU version. And my guess is that this is a software feature because of the FDA. That would be my guess. Yeah, of course. But, it measures your total sleep, your heart rate, your respiratory rate, snoring. It will actually notice the vibrations made by you when you snore, effectively listening in that sense, which your Apple Watch does not do. So there are some synergies when you pair this with data that you can get from an Apple Watch, but also it's just there. So it's a pretty cool little thing. Yeah. Yep. Fun stuff. Yep.
Yeah. Scott has a nerdy one for us.
Great.
We were discussing MySQL and DevTools. This is kind of for the developers out there, especially web developers. He says, I found this Safari extension invaluable. It's called Pretty JSON for Safari. The name is self-explanatory. Instead of a dense blob of text when visiting a JSON URL, you get a pretty colorized, readable version instead. And I think I've had this installed in Safari for a long time. But yeah, it gives you, so if you're having to view JSON on the web in your web browser, it will give it nice formatting, make it look pretty and readable, and do all the indenting and colorization and stuff like that. So pretty simple thing, pretty niche, I think, for people out there, but great little extension.
Love that. Huh. Cool. I definitely am going to install this. It's free, open source, and was updated sometime in the last couple of weeks. So, yep, that's great. Brian has one to bring us to. He says, in episode 1112, Dave, you mentioned that you had a small whiteboard between your keyboard and your monitor. Yeah, the Quartet one. He says, and I love this, he says, here's a suggestion to make it even more useful. Pair it with a Logitech Brio 500 camera that has show mode that will automatically flip the image when you tilt the camera down. This allows you to share content from a whiteboard right side up in team meetings. Oh, that's interesting. I like that. Okay. And he says Teams has a share content from camera whiteboard that will crop the image to whiteboard only. Zoom, Google Meets, and Apple FaceTime should all work too, but may not have the similar whiteboard features. When you flip the camera back up, it resets the image. Huh, that's pretty cool. Show mode is a feature that will let you showcase your desk and sketches of physical objects by simply tilting the angle of the camera. That's interesting. It kind of hangs over the screen when you put it in that show mode. It lifts kind of up and out and over. Huh, look at that. Cool. $129 for the Logitech Brio 500. Thanks, Brian. Fun. Love that.
Nice.
Yeah. You got one more for us, Adam, before we call it quits?
Well, are we going to, because this might fall under gift guide. I was just realizing. So
yeah, go ahead.
Sure, we'll do gift guide.
Yeah, we'll do a quick gift guide. Yeah, why not? Yeah.
So
sure.
I was thinking about this earlier when we were talking about hiding AirTags in your car and lack of security and stuff like that. And I remembered a company that we've referenced many, many times here. If you want to do anything with an AirTag in terms of a holder, that sort of thing, Elevation Lab has you covered in just about every scenario. But we were talking about, well, I got to find them to change the battery, so I got to put them in notes, right? Or I'm worried about the security of them. So Elevation Labs has two products that might be perfect for this, and they're not too expensive. So these would make like good little stocking stuffers or whatever. There is the 10-year battery adhesive mount for AirTags. So this has it's a larger case, but it allows you to have 10 years of battery life on your AirTag. So this would be perfect for hiding in a car. Because you could adhesive it almost anywhere that you'd want to hide it. And as far as the battery goes, you don't have to worry about it for up to 10 years. So there's that. And then they also have little adhesive mountable tag holders called their Tag Vault AirTag security mounts. And this comes with a special tool that you need to be able to open the case to get the AirTag out. So chances are, if someone does break in and even finds the AirTag, they're not going to be able to get it out. I guess they could probably rip the adhesive off, depending on how strong that was, but they'd have to get it ripped off and then thrown out. So I don't know how much extra security that provides. But then just in addition, they have magnet mounts, they have mounts for bikes, they have mounts for just about everything. So just overall, if you're looking for, attaching an AirTag to a bag or any product or device, they probably have you covered.
Love that. That's great. And that I think maybe we've talked about this before, but that what do they call it? The 10-year battery thing. When you put the AirTag in it, it fits in as a battery would, but it's not, and it allows you to put two AA batteries in there, so you can change them out after 10 years if you remember where it is. I'm wondering, going back to that quick tip and combining this with it, where he said he keeps a list in notes of where he has hidden these. Would it work to rename the AirTag to its location in your vehicle, or would it tell the person that you're following around that the AirTag is in your vehicle, right? And would it
display that? Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing would make the noise too, right? The little chirp. So using this to hide it outside the vehicle might work better because the person inside might not hear the chirp if the thing is outside and underneath. So
I like the note thing too, but I mean it is an AirTag, so you could ultimately use the NFC with your phone to probably figure out where it is.
That's fair. Yeah. That's true. Yes. Yeah. Fair. Yeah. Let's hope the car thieves, if they have that level of skill, would choose to use those skills for maybe good instead of evil. But there you go. All right. That's it.
One last one.
We made it. No. We'll save it for the next time. It turns out we have some material that we didn't get to, so we're gonna have to do another episode. We'll do it with Pete, maybe.
Hopefully
it'll be good. Hopefully he's back.
He should be back. Yeah,
I think he's back. Yeah,
well rested.
That's right. Yeah, he'll need a break after his travels. So yeah,
isn't that always how it goes?
Totally. Yeah,
I go on vacation and I need a vacation.
Yes,
my
exactly.
vacation.
Right. Yeah. I remember years ago when like we were taking our first like big family vacation. Lisa was convincing me. She's like, "Don't you think you could like maybe break away from the business for a week and like really do a family vacation?" I was like, "Yeah, okay, that sounds good." And then she said, "Great, I think we should go to Disney World." I'm like,
God.
"That's not a vacation." What? Like, that's like mayhem. I'll look forward to coming back to work after this. We did it. We did wind up going to Disney World eventually.
Oh, it's great.
It's fun. Yeah, but it's like, that's not, she sold me on this. Wouldn't it be great to just like get away and relax together and just be together? Yes. And then it was like Disney World. It's like, that's not what you advertised. That's right.
No, a cabin in the woods with nothing but books and board games would be my ideal vacation.
Yeah, we did that.
No technology, no video, anything. Just hanging out by a potbelly stove and looking out over the ocean or something like that, or over the forest. Yeah,
we've done a few of those. The one that comes to mind is the summer of 2020 when we were sick of just all being the four of us in our house. We thought, well, we could go be the four of us in somebody else's house, So we rented an Airbnb on Lake Champlain in Vermont and just hung out there for, 5 days or something. And it was somewhere else to be, which was great. Yeah, it's nice. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us, folks. Make sure to go to macgeekgab.com/giveaway and sign up for our giveaway with Open Case, because that's fun stuff. If you missed hearing from Pete, well, So There I Was is his other podcast, so you can go hear him. If you want more of Adam, the Debut Film Podcast, if you want more of me, Geek Gab or Business Brain, our thanks to Cashfly for providing all the bandwidth to get the show from us to you. Our thanks to you for listening, for engaging, for sending in all your stuff, for just being a part of the Mac Geek Gab family. It's great. We love it. What do we say, Adam? I always forget.
Don't get caught.
That's it.
Made up.